Hey everybody, I'm health and performance coach Paul Todd. Talking here today with Carl Bamler on some health and performance tips for your lockdown time.
So Paul, some people out there might not be knowing exactly what types of exercises they should be doing to try and get themselves going the right way forward so they're not overdoing one thing. What are some of the different types of exercises people should be trying to do to keep themselves going in the right direction?
Great question, Carl. I think probably the number one challenge potentially people have is that they don't have the same variety available to them as far as particularly strength exercise goes. So a good example is this is somebody who's used to going to the gym. They'd usually have a program. That program would be designed by a professional, and they'd have a variety of movement patterns, and your body's designed to move a number of different ways. Potentially now you're training at home from a strength perspective, maybe just your own body weight. Perhaps all you got access to is maybe one or two pieces of gear. The potential risk in that is we tend to sort of overuse the same patterns that we perhaps know well or that we can do. A great example of this is the classic press up. If we want to train our body and we don't have a lot of access to gear, a press up, whilst it's a great exercise, if we end up doing too many of them or too many of the same repetitive movement pattern, we'll end up developing an imbalance in the muscles that act on the shoulder, or we might have issues going down on further down the track. We're just creating too much strength with not enough strength to offset that particular movement pattern. So the first thing I'd encourage people on two different levels. The first one is to make sure you've got a variety of movement overall. So you're doing a little bit of strength work, you're getting outside, doing a little bit of cardio. So you might be, and you're just using different intensities. So, for example, if we just use a simple out of 10 scale, you'd like some of your exercise intensity to be at the higher end of the scale. So that might look like an interval session, or it might look like a higher, more intense run. So maybe that's done for sort of 20 to 30 minutes one day. Next day, you might do something at that moderate intensity space where you keep your heart rate at that kind of 5 to 7 out of 10. That's going to build your aerobic system. Now that might look like a brisk walk or a more like a jog, or maybe some bodyweight strength circuit or something you can do at home. And then you have a strength component. That looks like trying to build muscle or strength. That would look like a series of bodyweight or exercises using resistance training. And then you probably want a good mobility routine as well. So something to undo a lot of the tension that's going to be built up. So for that, you might use a stretching routine or some mobilization, foam roller, any other sequences. From a strength perspective, try to consider a balance between upper body and lower body, and just try to make sure you're not doing the same movement patterns too repetitively. So that would look as simple as just not doing the same exercises over and over again. There are 3 different positions the body moves in terms of direction. One is sagittal plane. So sagittal plane is when we move forward. So for example, walking and running, I'll use exercises like lunges and squats. They kind of form a sagittal position. We have a frontal plane. So if I just show across the screen, frontal plane was when we move laterally. So that might look like we're moving sideways in. And then our last plane is a transverse plane where we work in a rotational pattern. So as much as possible, and I will film a little workout showing people how to work in these different planes of motion. But within your strength routine in particular, if you've got a balance between the sagittal plane, the frontal plane moving sideways, and the transverse plane working in rotation, then straight away we're going to train the body in the way it's designed to be moved. And that's always going to give us a better long-term result than if we just repeat the same plane of motion. It tends to be sagittal. Sagittal is the one that comes easy to most people. Those are the most common exercises. We tend to repeat that movement pattern over and over again. And potential negative byproduct of that is we end up with overuse injuries, or we end up with too much muscle dominance or muscle development in one movement pattern.
Those are great tips. Hopefully people can diversify what they're doing a little bit based off that information. And we look forward to seeing some of those exercises you're going to put out.
Thanks, Carl. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you got some really useful information from that conversation today. If you've got some questions or feedback, I'd love to hear them. Drop me a line, either my email or through our social media. That'd be awesome. Thank you.